Hello Leo and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be pulling for all three sides of the connection, so we're going to look at your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between the connection, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your perspective, their perspective, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section and the overall purpose of the reading is to look at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. On that note, and especially if you're a cross-watcher, just know that this whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that is totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me or on my upcoming workshop, which I'm going to talk a lot more about at the end of this video, can be found in the description box below. All right, Leo, we're going to start with looking at, as always, overall energy through oracle cards first, and then we'll dive deeper into the story with tarot as we progress. So let's start looking, Leo, at your side of this connection. This is your energy toward the person you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. Leo's energy toward this person. Interesting. Is there anything else here? Okay. When it comes to this connection, so you have friendship, solitude, and dead end. Based on kind of just looking at these together, what I feel like you're desiring out of this connection is a lot more than what it is you've been receiving. Because this dead end, like I almost see like what you're desiring as being like up here, and this dead end, it's like you can't break through some sort of like ceiling to get to where you want to be in this connection. I don't know if it's commitment, that you like deeper level of commitment, deeper level of emotional connection, whatever kind of resonates with you. I feel like the solitude card makes me feel like there's this energy of feeling a little bit alone and lonely when it comes to this connection because of what you're missing out of it. So I feel like basically if you were to sum this up, it's you have a desire when it comes to this connection, but you just can't seem to, that desire can't seem to manifest, essentially. This person toward you, Leo. What does Leo need to know about this person's energy toward them? Another thing is, well, actually, hang on. This person's energy toward Leo. Because the dead end could also be like rug ripped out from underneath you kind of energy. Money versus love, follow your heart with shattered. So here's what's interesting. Yeah, because I feel like, and that's the ceiling. I don't know what happened, but rug ripped out from underneath you, leading to some sort of separation here. And now you're left feeling very alone. And I feel like it's interesting because this person, they have followed their heart, but then they have this money versus love. So it feels like they chose a path that doesn't actually align with their heart and what it is they really desire. And then there's this shattered card. It's almost like they broke this, or they broke the potential, like, or they like I don't know what they did though. I don't know what happened here. It feels like they chose something karmic, almost. So, okay, there's gonna be an upside to this reading. I feel like things are really coming out of the gate really heavy. Okay, truth in between this connection between Leo and this person. it doesn't literally mean they chose money over love. Like, that's not what I see this as. But, you know, when I see money versus love, to me, this is like choosing surface level over depth, like choosing the easy path over the hard but rewarding path. Like, that's really what I see here. So then there's reciprocity, there's confusion, and there's ego. So I feel like you're left really confused, like trying to make sense of this, trying to wonder why this person did what they did, which I don't know what they did, right? We're just looking at overall energy. We'll get deeper into the story as we progress. But I feel like you're left in this state of confusion. Now, this ego card makes me feel like ego got in the way when it came to this connection. Which typically when you're making decisions from ego, you are choosing karmic paths. Like, that's just what it comes down to. When your ego is driving the wheel, it typically means that your wounding is driving the wheel, which typically means you're heading into some sort of karmic lesson. And it feels like that, yeah, it's like that happened here. And there's this energy of you trying to make sense of what happened here. Because especially if it was so painful and intense, maybe even out of the blue. No, I don't know. I don't know if it was out of the blue. I don't want to say that. Okay, I'm going to keep going. There's only so much I can bring forth through these overall, you know, energies, but I think it does really help me. It's like putting together a puzzle almost. It's like I start to kind of see the outline, and then things can get a little bit clearer as I progress. So let's look at the overall theme of this. What does Leo need to know regarding this connection? The best way to move forward and align with their higher self. See, yeah, that's what you wanted. You wanted commitment. Commitment is one of the cards with pride keeps us apart. I feel like pride and ego can really go hand in hand here. Because yeah. And then you have trust the universe. So this person struggled with commitment, and I feel like it was commitment to something real, commitment to something that really displayed a lot of potential, a lot of opportunity here. They chose a path that doesn't actually serve them at the end of the day, something very driven by ego. And I feel like for you, you're needing to trust that you're still going to find the love that you deserve. But there's something about this connection and something you're needing to learn from it or know about it to help you move toward that love that you deserve. So there is a purpose to this. And there is a purpose for every relationship we have, no matter how painful, even if it's hard to find it sometimes. But let's see. Let's dive into this a little bit deeper. Let's look, Leo, at your side of this connection. You have solitude with dead end. This is Leo's side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. And are needing to learn the most from right now. High Priestess in reverse. Six of Wands. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Three of Swords. Ten of Cups in reverse. Strength in reverse. Oh my goodness. The Knight of Pentacles upright. I feel like I want to get one more for some reason. The Knight of Swords. Oh my gosh, in reverse too. And then you have the Seven of Pentacles upright. You are missing a lot in this connection. And I said that at the beginning because I feel like, you know, I said what I said at the beginning, how it felt like you were missing a lot from this connection. You couldn't seem to break through this ceiling. And then also I feel like this connection hit some sort of a dead end and left you kind of alone in this place of solitude and possibly really struggling, because with this Three of Swords, this is definitely an indication that there's been some heartbreak here, and that might even be a bit of a understatement based on what you've been through, because I feel like with the Six of Wands, there was a lot of hope here, a lot of hope for the connection and where it was going to go. Now, the High Priestess in reverse, sometimes when we're hurting, we have a really hard time accessing our spiritual support or divine support or higher self, whatever the case is. And sometimes we can get really lost in that pain and that heartbreak. And it can start to affect the way that we feel about ourselves. When somebody leaves us or doesn't choose us or chooses something else over us, it can really affect our self-esteem. Start making us feel like we're not good enough, or we did something to deserve it, or we're unlovable or unworthy, or whatever the case is. And I feel like it's really important for you to know that I feel like there's more to why this person made the decisions that they did than you currently might be able to see clearly. Because the first way we view any situation is through the lens of our fear, doubt, and insecurity. It's what happens. As humans, we have a tendency to see things through the lens of like our deepest fears. And when we get left, or we get betrayed, or someone doesn't choose us, or whatever the case is, we might view that through this lens of, oh my gosh, I was deserving of this, or, I'm not good enough, or I did something, that made this person do this to me. And a lot of time when we start to blame ourselves for the harmful behavior of others. This Wheel of Fortune in reverse is an indication that there is something karmic going on here on your side too. So some sort of like karmic lesson associated. Now, karma doesn't mean like you were deserving of this by any means, and that's not what I'm saying at all. Karma is about lessons that, if we're open to learning them, can lead us to everything that we do truly deserve. I was in a relationship with somebody who was emotionally abusive a long time ago now, like 6 years ago. And at the time, I would have told you that this relationship was the worst thing to ever happen to me. I mean, it basically felt like at the time it destroyed me, especially after that person ended up leaving me after I put up with so much. But now I look back at it and I think about how that relationship was one of the best things to happen to me, not because of that person or the situation itself, but because of what I learned and how I grew, and how learning to love myself through that led me to the relationship that I have now with my husband. And so I'm not saying that that's exactly, like, you don't need to look at it from that perspective. I'm not saying you need to look at this as a good thing, but I do feel like there is a deeper purpose here for you. I mean, you have trust the universe. And I think sometimes when we pour ourselves into connections, because it feels like you really poured yourself into this and you had really strong expectations about where this could go. With the Seven of Pentacles, it's obvious that you were very committed and you were very willing to invest what you had into this, and then it just feels like, it was all for nothing. And when it hits this dead end, it wasn't all for nothing. Sometimes things don't work out, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to work out. It just means that they haven't worked out yet. And I know that that doesn't really help, but I do feel like I'm speaking to a collective who's struggling quite a bit in this connection, and finding some sort of clarity here, I think is really the goal of this reading. Especially if this is affecting the way that you feel about like yourself, and I like with the Strength in reverse, like losing a little bit of your confidence, your sense of being like good enough, that can happen. I know for me it certainly happened, and I had always considered myself a pretty confident person. But sometimes when we pour everything into something and it feels like it wasn't enough, we start to look at ourselves and we go, well, I gave everything I had. And if that wasn't enough for this person, then maybe I'm not enough. But that's not a truth. I think that a lot of times when we get hurt in relationships, our deeper fears start to come out. Like I said, we have a tendency to view everything through the lens of our fear and insecurity, which is a totally natural and normal human thing to do. But gaining clarity on heartbreak, I think, can really help us kind of free ourselves from it and help us find some clarity to navigate it in a way that leads us to what we deserve in the end. So let's look at this person. Shattered, money versus love. This person's energy toward you, Leo. the Tower. So, the Six of Cups. Three of Pentacles. Four of Cups. Six of Swords in reverse. The Fool. I want to get more on this Tower really quick. The Three of Wands in reverse. Interesting. Ooh. The Four of Swords in reverse. Interesting. And then the Five of Swords on the bottom. Okay. Oof. Okay. So, right out of the gate, I see this person, I don't know what they did. And to be honest with you, I don't really think that I'm supposed to know, because I don't feel like that's really, first of all, any of my business. And second of all, I don't think that that necessarily adds to the reading, because this isn't about, exactly what they did, but kind of the energy behind it, right? And with this Tower, it feels like they did something, made some sort of decision that broke this connection. And I said that at the beginning with the Shattered, that broke this connection. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was abandonment, if it was betrayal. I don't know if they walked away. I don't know if they did something to push you to walk away. I don't know. But I do see, based on the Three of Wands in reverse, that this is something that is a repeated pattern for them. And when it comes down to it, it feels like they have a tendency to ruin or run from anything good in their life, especially when it comes to relationships. Now, I said with the Money versus Love card that this person has a tendency to choose surface level relationships. Some people are really afraid of depth. Depth is something that requires a certain level of growth, being able to access a certain level of consciousness, emotional awareness, things of that nature. And when people aren't able to access that depth within themselves, they're not going to be able to meet you at a depth in the connection. And when some sort of a connection provides promise of that depth, they if they don't know how to access that, it's something that they're going to be very afraid of. So instead of dealing with those fears to be able to access that depth and experience the benefits that kind of depth in a connection has to provide, they run from it. They push it away. They see you as something that is very scary. And it's not you in terms of like anything that you did or that you did anything wrong. I feel like this person saw you as something that promised a certain level of depth that they didn't know how to reach. Now, when we talk about the ego in spiritual terms, a lot of times the ego has a tendency to be demonized, when in reality, our ego makes decisions for us. When we allow our ego to make decisions for us, we're allowing our ego to make decisions purely based on survival. And your ego is going to put you into situations that it knows it can survive. So what it's going to do is it's going to choose situations that feel familiar. And so if somebody is used to surface level relationships or unhealthy relationships or, whatever the case is, even if those things aren't fulfilling, even if those things don't bring them, the love that they desire or the freedom that they seek or whatever the case might be, they will still actively choose those situations because that's what their ego prefers. Their ego prefers what it knows it can survive. And if there's not a level of awareness surrounding that decision making, every single one of their decisions is going to be very driven by ego and what their ego prefers over what their soul actually desires. And I feel like what it comes down to, looking at the Three of Wands in reverse, looking at the Four of Swords in reverse, they have this tendency to really play it safe when it comes to relationships. I feel like they don't let people get too close. I feel like they don't allow for that depth. And it's not because of you. It's not because they don't see your value. It's not because you don't have a lot to give. It's because they are not able to access that depth within themselves. And that keeps them very stuck in repeating the same pattern over and over again. Never being able to reach the depth in the relationship that they desire because they're always seeking They're always seeking what is surface level, familiar, and comfortable. And to be honest with you, if there's anything that I've learned, it's that relationships are not comfortable. The relationships that are meant for you are going to push you to grow. They're going to push you to access deeper parts of yourself. They're going to push you to, heal and look at your trauma and look at your insecurities. And if you are somebody who is not in a position to do that, you're going to push away anything that brings those things out. And you're going to search for what's surface level, what's easy, the path of least resistance, if you will. And I feel like that's the path that this person chose. I feel like this connection had a promise of things being really great. And it's something that this person didn't know how to deal with, how to handle. And there's a lack of healing here. And to me, with the Four of Cups, they're distracted. They're focused on things that don't really matter. They're focused on paths and people and situations that don't actually align with their soul, but align with the Six of Cups with what they're familiar with. So they desire, what's hard about this too is they desire that depth. They desire love. They desire commitment. They desire that, but they're not doing the work that is necessary to do those things. So the reason that this person made the decisions that they did is because they lack healing. They lack growth. They haven't gotten to a place to be able to appreciate all that this connection provided them. So instead of looking at this person's decisions from this place of, oh my gosh, this person made decisions because I wasn't enough, or because I'm not valuable, or I'm not good enough, or they chose this person over me because, this person is better than me. Don't think of it that way, because that's not actually what happened here. This person made decisions based on their wounding and their trauma and not in alignment with what is of their highest good. So boil it down to the most simplest way of putting this person chose a karmic path. And that's their lesson to learn. That's going to lead them essentially to the same lesson over and over again, because we either evolve or repeat, right? So we either stay in the same situations, we experience heartbreak over and over again until we evolve. Or maybe we don't evolve and we just continue to experience the same thing over and over again in lifetimes. I do think that eventually everybody does evolve. It just might take a few lifetimes. But I feel like the big thing that Spirit is trying to, one of two things. I feel like Spirit is, first of all, trying to get you to separate the way that you're viewing, why this person did certain things, or whatever the case is, from more of a place of understanding that their decisions had nothing to do with you. There is nothing you could have done to make this person make a better decision when it comes to this relationship. And then second of all, instead of, taking on this person's decisions as a reflection of your value or your worth, because it absolutely is not. You have so much love to give here, and that's very obvious. But second of all, looking at the mirror. Our ego, like I just talked about, will always choose what is familiar. And if we are used to lacking love, if we are used to not being treated well, if we are used to not having what it is that we truly, truly desire when it comes to our relationships, we will, whether or not we realize it, continuously choose situations that provide us with the same experience of not having the love that we deserve. And what happens is we already have this deep-seated belief that we're unlovable and that we're undeserving or that we're not good enough. And then we experience situations that almost prove that to us. So then it deepens those fears. It deepens those insecurities. And what this is trying to do is it's not trying to prove to you that you aren't good enough or that you're not lovable or that you can't have the love that you deserve. It's trying to show you the parts of yourself that need to be brought to the light and healed. So the purpose of this connection is to push you into your healing so that you recognize that you are more lovable than, and you're more lovable than you think you are. You're good enough for love. You deserve it. You're capable of it. All of those things. But if you're not careful, you might view it through the other way. You might view this as proof that you're unlovable, that you're undeserving, that you're not good enough. I talked about that emotionally abusive relationship that I was in and how it literally almost destroyed me. And it really did. I mean, it brought me to my knees for a couple of years, actually, even after the relationship ended. And I couldn't make sense of it all. And I was trying to understand why this person would do what they did and all of these things. And then I started asking myself the question, okay, I could think about why they did these things all day long, right? They're emotionally unavailable. They run from good things. A lot of what we talked about in this reading. But it never helped me heal, and I wasn't able to open up to the relationships that I really deserved because I was so afraid of getting hurt again. Especially because I didn't know how to trust myself. There was so much there. But then I started asking myself, instead of why did this person do this to me, I started asking, why did I attract this into my life? Why was I so drawn to somebody who was unable to love me well, or somebody who chose to hurt me over, be there for me. And when I started asking myself those questions, I started uncovering a history for myself. I started seeing that there were a lot of things that had happened to me in my earlier years and my formative years that taught me that I was unlovable, that I was undeserving, and that I wasn't good enough. And the person that I was dealing with was almost proof of all of these beliefs that I held. And the universe wasn't trying to prove to me that these limiting beliefs were true, that I was unlovable, that I was undeserving, that I couldn't have the love that I deserve. The universe was showing me what needed to be healed, was showing me the beliefs that were driving my decisions and relationships that kept me in this cycle of pain. And so I feel like that's kind of a little bit of a very, very brief overview of the purpose of this connection and what's really going on here. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like this person knows they made the wrong choice. I do. I really, really do. But I feel like their ego is they're so like driven by ego that's not something that they probably will ever like truly, truly admit to themselves. And, or maybe they will, but like maybe down the line after, because sometimes we got to repeat cycles enough until we go, okay, this isn't working. Something has to be done. So, I do feel like they know that they made the wrong choice, but you have pride keeps us apart, right? So their pride, their ego, they're very, very driven by that. And at the end of the day, who cares if they know that they made the wrong choice, right? Like you have all of this love to give and they gave it up for something, or they chose something, or they chose not to invest in it, whatever the case is for you. That's their loss at the end of the day, right? And that doesn't, I know, like, when you're hurting and your friends are like, oh, it's their loss, like it doesn't really help. But like seriously, Leo, you have so much wonderful energy to give. You bring so much to the table in your relationships. Don't let this person diminish that value that you bring or make you diminish that in your eyes. Look at it from this position of like, man, I feel sorry for them. Like they don't get to experience all of this wonderful energy that I had to give. I know my value, I know my worth, and unfortunately they don't get to experience that. That kind of flip in perspective can really, really help when you're healing, and also when it comes to attracting the love that you deserve. Because when you know your worth and you know your value, you heal those woundings that are being brought up here, you're going to then be driven by that healing instead of that wounding, which I'm sure we'll talk a lot about in the extended. So we're going to hop on over. You have ego with confusion. The goal with this extended is to bring even more clarity to the surface, looking at the deeper purpose and the best way to move forward in alignment with your higher self. But first, as I mentioned, I want to talk about this workshop that I'm holding on April 25th. It's going to be a live Zoom workshop happening at 6 p.m. Central Time. Attendance is not required. If you cannot make it live, but you still wish to be a part of the workshop, you can still purchase a ticket. You will both receive access to the live workshop and a recording that will be sent out the next day that you will have for however long you want it. This workshop is all going to be all about the secret to manifesting. So if you feel like you've been doing all of the right things, the vision boards and the affirmations and the positive thinking and all of the things that you hear about, but you feel like you're not really able to bring the things that you desire into your life, this workshop is for you, because it talks about the secret to manifesting, which is embodiment. It's about becoming what it is that you're wishing to manifest. And I know that might sound a little bit out there right now, but the goal of this workshop is to really break down what that means, to help you be able to create the life that you do truly deserve and desire. I know manifesting is something that is very real based on my own personal experience and very accessible to anybody out there. So my goal is to bring forth certain things that I've been through, both in my own personal life and in helping people on this journey, to help you on yours when it comes to creating the life that you deserve and desire. So any information for that is going to be at the very, very top of the description box below, including that link will also take you to where you would purchase a ticket. So thank you so much, Leo, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. Bye, Leo.